Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 2, Episode 2, Fog Closing In, starring Phyllis Thaxter as Mary Summers. This episode was okay. It's just an average watchable episode, in my opinion. It's a pretty standard Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode. There is a twist at the ending, but it is kind of abrupt, and it only partially works, in my opinion. But the episode's still okay overall. So we start with a woman named Mary and her husband Arthur, and it turns out that Mary's very nervous because her husband is going to be leaving on some kind of business trip. He's a salesman, I believe, and they have a discussion about her parents. It turns out that Mary is very attached to her parents, and she would like for them to live with her and her husband, but her husband's against it. They argue a little bit, and Mary gets really upset. Arthur tries to comfort her before he has to leave, but it doesn't really seem to work that well. He also suggests maybe she should see a psychiatrist, which she's against. But as we see at the end of the episode, maybe that would have been a good idea. So Arthur leaves and Mary's in the house by herself. And the episode does take some time to show her by herself, which I didn't mind. That was kind of interesting. So everything's okay until Mary hears a noise. And at first, it looks like it's just her cat. It looks like a mislead. But there's actually a man in the house. And we find out later his name is Ted. And this guy's a little bit strange. He said he's hiding from someone. Mary actually figures out that he has escaped from the state hospital. He's a patient there, and he's afraid because he doesn't want to go back. He feels trapped. Surprisingly, Mary, who was afraid to be by herself, isn't really scared of this guy, which I thought was a little bit strange, but I guess you just got to go with it. The reason is because they have some kind of odd connection. She can relate to him because she's also afraid. They talk about fear. But everything is kind of abstract, which is fine in some cases, but I thought maybe a little bit more specifics would have helped at this point in the episode, but that's just me. Others may find it to their satisfaction. The conversation is kind of interesting and strange. Mary explains it turns out she never wanted to get married. She wanted to stay single, but because her parents had financial trouble and Arthur had a lot of money, she married him, but she thought that her parents were going to be able to stay with her and Arthur. So she's not too happy about this. She also talks about a dream that she always has where it's like she's afraid of someone who comes up the steps and opens the door to her room, which will be important for the end of the episode. So Ted has a surprising amount of sympathy for her. Like I said, the way these characters is written, I guess it works. It's just kind of strange and abstract. So at this point, everything's going okay till there's a noise at the door. And Ted says it's the people looking for him. So Mary actually covers for him. She distracts the men that come from the hospital. And Ted gets away. We don't really ever know what happens to him, which is fine. He just leaves the house, basically. So now Mary's once again by herself. She's trying to call her parents, who she obviously can't get away from thinking about them. And it just so happens that she's in her room at this point, which is kind of a plot convenience, but whatever, I'll accept that. So basically, Mary's husband comes home. Arthur, he says he was worried about her, but because this is a scenario very similar to Mary's dream with him coming up the steps and opening the door, Mary pulls out a gun and basically shoots him, and then she calls her father and says she can come home. So I'm not sure how good of an ending this is for anyone. Just kind of an odd twist. It kind of works. It's shocking. Others may find it more believable than others, but I did think the episode was watchable, and Phyllis Thaxter always gives a pretty solid performance. This episode was kind of up and down for me. There's elements I liked and elements I didn't like. So overall, I'm going to give Fog Closing In a 2.5 out of 5. I think fans of the show will enjoy the episode well enough. Other casual fans probably don't need to check this one out, in my opinion. So 2.5 out of 5 for Fog Closing In, and as always, thank you very much for watching.